Is one of the best ever Christmas episodes of Power Rangers one of the worst ever episodes of Power Rangers? Let's talk about it. Hey guys, Jake here, aka the 6th Ranger. Welcome back to another video. This one, of course, is something a little different, a little special video for the holiday period. It's coming up to Christmas. It's very close, in fact. I'm recording this very last minute. And I thought something fun to do, rather than just talking about, Christmas episodes in the Power Rangers universe. Like, that's what everyone kind of does. I thought instead I would pinpoint one episode, which is an interesting one because, to me, when I think back at this episode, it's very nostalgic. It was always an episode that I looked back on fondly as like my favorite Christmas episode growing up. But then, watching it now, it's probably the worst episode of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. Or at least it's up there, that's for sure. The episode is from Season 3. It's called I'm Dreaming of a White Ranger. Now, there's many reasons why this is not a good episode of Power Rangers. But there are many reasons why it's a good Christmas episode. So it's a little bit contradicting, it's a little bit contrasting. So what we're going to do is I'm going to go through the episode and talk about, scene by scene, kind of what happens. And at the end, I'll tell you why it's really not an episode of Power Rangers and why it's not a good episode of Power Rangers. It's just a good Christmas episode. So the episode starts with Christmas caroling. There's a bunch of kids at Angel Grove High School that are performing or rehearsing, and Kimberly is playing guitar. Now, one thing I actually like about this scene is, as a guitarist myself, there's actually videos of me playing guitar on YouTube. I dare you to find them. They're really cringy. Some of the songs are okay, but anyway. It's nice to see that the actress Amy Jo Johnson is actually playing what's being played in the song, if that makes sense. She's not just kind of... like, it drives me insane when you watch a film and there's an actor playing guitar and they're just like... and it's not right. So it's nice to see that she's actually playing the correct chords and the right time, and it all kind of works. Moving on from this scene then, we actually have Tommy helping a little girl put in a star on the very top of the Christmas tree. It's very nice. Then enter none other than Bulk and Skull. Now, of course, in Season 3 we have this police version of Bulk and Skull, which makes zero sense, but we run with it. Now, at this point in the episode, Tommy helps Kimberly put a mistletoe up because she's too short to reach. And as the mistletoe is put up, Bulk and Skull walk over and Skull kisses Kimberly. Now, it's on the cheek. But you know it's only on the cheek because this is a kids show, right? But it felt a little bit weird. Like, Bulk and Skull are super creepy. Super, super creepy. We then move on to what's kind of, I guess, the main plot line of the episode. We find out Lord Zed's dastardly plan, and it's to basically put one of these spinning toy things in every kid's stocking, and that spinny toy thing will brainwash them into following Lord Zed. Now, in theory, it's a great plan. It's kind of a plan that they've done before. It's pretty much the plot of the Power Rangers movie, right? Being brainwashed. Oh, that was the parents of the kids. Never mind. But anyway, at least now at this point in the episode, we know what the Rangers are up against. We then go back to the Christmas caroling rehearsals, and there's a young girl who approaches Kimberly, and she expresses her sadness that no one is going to be there to see her sing. Her dad is away working or something, and she's very upset about it. Then we move on to what was, at the time of watching this as a kid, some of my favorite parts of this episode, but looking back at it, I was like, oh, they did that. So we then move on to the North Pole. We're at the house of Santa Claus himself. The real Santa, mind. And he is, of course, busy with his elves, slaving away making toys for all the good kids at Christmas this year, when none other than Rito Revolto arrives. He introduces himself to Santa and says, I'm Rito Revolto, your new master. To which Santa says, I know who you are. You've been a naughty boy. Now, I feel like if Santa is Santa, couldn't he just do something? Like, Rito's a really bad person, right? Like, really bad. Not just like, I don't know, he's not listened in school like a naughty kid kind of thing, but like he like tries to kill people and stuff. So surely Santa has powers to do something about that, not just like give him coal. So, I don't know. Anyway, we have this elf girl who has a ridiculously annoying voice. I get that it's supposed to be a little elf, but yeah, her voice is very, very annoying.
Production schedule is already booked.
Anyway, after Rito kind of takes over and gives away his plan, we cut back to the Rangers. We're about halfway through the episode at this point, around 9-10 minutes in. Zordon finally contacts the Rangers and they teleport to the command center. It's at this point that Zordon tells the Rangers what's going on. And now, watching this again as a grown man, I'm like, yes, finally get to see the Rangers in action, get to see Tommy, my guy. We get to see the White Ranger. Obviously, the episode's called I'm Dreaming of a White Ranger. So the White Ranger is going to go and have a cool fight against Santa. It's going to be great. But at this point, and this is where the episode swings somewhat, Zordon and Alpha explain to the Rangers that due to the North Pole's polarity, their powers will not work there. So they won't have access to the morphing grid. They can't morph. So they're going to have to go and take on Rito powerless. To which Tommy says, and rightly so, we've got to do it. Santa's just too important. So before long, the Rangers manage to confront Rito, who realizes that they're not morphing and goes to get them with his power sword thing, and it doesn't work. So the polarity in the North Pole is affecting both sides, good and evil. And the Rangers say here that only good will work in the North Pole, or something along those lines, which makes me think, are they evil? Because I didn't think it was the fact that evil couldn't work in the North Pole, only good could. I thought it was something to do with the polarity. So, confusion. Anyway, Goldar appears to back up Rito, and then when they kind of both realize that there's no morphing, no powers, they just have a snowball fight instead. Because that's what you do to evil dudes at Christmas. You can't fight at Christmas, you've got to just throw ice at them. Now, following this, we have like a small montage that has like Home Alone vibes / Ewoks on Endor type vibes with his marbles that cause Rito and the Tengu warriors to slip and things like that, and they catch them and they capture them, and eventually they get sent back to Rita and Zed. Now, obviously the following scene from this is Lord Zed being so mad at Rito for not even being able to take on the Rangers when they're not morphed. And rightly so, Rito and Goldar. They're just teenagers. Now, of course, the big problem in this episode isn't the fact that Rito and Zed and Crow are trying to take over. It's the fact that because of this distraction, they may not have enough time to prepare the toys for all the kids at Christmas. Now, obviously, this is of extreme importance, so the Rangers stay behind and help all the elves and Santa Claus with getting the toys ready. And I just love how they just, like, Tommy's just talking to Santa like he's one of his mates that he sees all the time. Like, yeah, no worries, Santa. I got you, bro. Like, it's quite funny looking back at it.
Oh, thanks, Santa.
When we're back in Angel Grove, then Bulk is now Santa Claus talking to some of the kids, and he's absolutely hating it until the girl from the start who was sad that her dad wasn't there, her dad arrives, and then she's very happy. She goes to thank Santa, who's actually Bulk, and then he's a bit like, oh. And I think he kind of enjoys it, so that's quite nice. It's a Christmas miracle. Then before long, Tommy and Kimberly kiss. On the lips, big stuff for a kid's show back in the day, I think. And then Kim's parents also arrive at the start of the episode. She thought she was going to be without her parents too, so another Christmas miracle. And that pretty much brings us to the end of the episode. And to summarize this, I know what you're thinking. There were no Rangers, morphed obviously. There were no Zords, and outside of Snowballs, there were no fights. So there is the odd episode of Power Rangers where we don't see the Rangers morphed or getting their Zords, of course, but there's always a fight scene. It might be unmorphed Rangers taking on some putties or whatever. There wasn't even that. They just threw some snowballs. So when you look at the formula for what makes an episode of Power Rangers an episode of Power Rangers, it's normally Power Rangers, morphing, fighting, and Zords. We got none of that. So on paper, this is probably the worst episode of Power Rangers ever. And at least in my opinion, and it is my opinion. But it does kind of tick all the boxes when it comes to a holiday episode of a kids show. It has Santa, the real Santa. It has elves. It has kids' wishes being, brought to life, coming true. It has a little bit of comedy. It has some romance. It kind of ticks those boxes. So although this is a bad episode of Power Rangers, it's a good Christmas episode. I hope that makes sense. What do you guys think of this episode? I'm really curious to know. There's lots of cons to this episode, but there are, like I said, some pros. So it's definitely one that I'm interested to hear your opinions on. Let's discuss in the comments down below. This is the last video from me of 2023, my friends. I may post some shorts over the holiday period, but apart from that, I'm taking a break for a few weeks, and I'll be back in January, raring to go. And hopefully, early 2024, we're going to get some new news from Hasbro regarding the reboot universe and the cinematic universe and whatever's going on with that. A side note here, if you've made it this far in the video, I was going to do a video on this as well, but we'll just mention it here. I noticed that Hasbro signed over a deal for their Power Rangers figures and toys to McFarlane Toys. Now that's interesting. I see a lot of people, especially in the 6th Ranger group on Facebook, discussing how Hasbro just want to be Disney. They don't want to make toys. They don't want anything to distract from the fact that they want to be Disney, right? So after reading that, I'm like, that does make a lot of sense. That is what they're trying to do. And seeing that they signed over the deal and the rights to the Power Rangers toy line to McFarlane was crazy to me. They still had so much to do with their line. Like, we didn't get the Green Ranger helmet. What the hell? Is that just not going to be a thing now? Very, very, very confusing. On the plus side of that, McFarlane Toys do make far better toys than Hasbro, in my opinion. I have an entire Batman... You probably can't see, but I have like well over 150 DC McFarlane figures, easily. As well as other lines, some Star Trek lines that they did. I just like McFarlane Toys. They're very good. So it is a good thing if you're into quality of your figures that you collect. But strange nonetheless. Anyway, I'm rambling. I digress. Mainly, guys, I want to say I hope you all have a fantastic Christmas. Whether you celebrate it, whether you don't, I hope you have an incredible time off, an incredible festive holiday period. I'm wishing you all the best for the new year, for 2024. It's going to be a good year. Fingers crossed. It's going to be a good year, I know it, so hopefully lots of good things come in for all of you. As always, my friends, thank you so much for all your support on this channel. I love doing it. I love talking to you guys. I love the interactions we have on the Facebook group, through Instagram, and through the comments here. It's an absolute blast, and it's fun to have so many people to talk about, you know, the same sort of interest that I have, because not a lot of my friends are into these sort of things. So it's just great. I really appreciate all of you. Anyway, guys, Merry Christmas. May the power protect you, and I'll see you next time on the 6th Ranger.